Fear. We are talking now about fear. You're afraid. The fear, sometimes we have the fear in our mind, so we cannot sleep. Something that you saw, something that you heard, something that somebody said, is there in your mind. So like as a little girl or boy, the fear does not allow you to do what you want, to be what you are. Like you can't sleep in the night, you're afraid to enter a room, being alone. Fear. Sometimes the fear is caused by somebody. Somebody you're tiny, somebody who's more powerful, big, a big friend or a big aunt or neighbor, someone who is bigger than you, the size makes you fear, induce fear in you. So you get frightened. Anybody big and huge build, you get scared. Sometimes you're afraid of animals. Naturally, wild animals, lion, tiger, elephant, you see the size, you get afraid. But there are also tiny mouse that run across your house, then you get frightened. There are tiny insects that crawl in your house, you get scared. The lizard who sits on the wall, the spider who keeps hanging down, all this induces fear in you if you don't like them. Sometimes when you go out with your parents, the dog outside, any strange dog, puts fear in you. Sometimes there are children who don't like you or want things out of you, put fear in you to take away your toy or a sweet or something that you have. So the fear sometimes from the mind, sometimes what you see in the TV, hear something, sometimes from the persons, the size of the animal, size of the person. There are different types of fear that we have. In all these situations, you must say to yourself, I am not afraid. Some children are frightened of the teacher. Some children are frightened of authority. Some children are frightened of big made children who trouble them. May not say anything, even if you don't say one look of it. So the size fears them, some dark shadows fears them, sounds induces fear in them, all kinds. So in all these situations, I must say to myself, I am not afraid. And that's what we are going to do today. You have to tell yourself, I know there are situations there, but I am not afraid. So I must not. I am telling myself, I must not be afraid. Anybody, anything. I must not be afraid of anybody, any situation, any picture, any movie. I must learn to be brave. I must not be afraid of what? I must not be afraid. This, even the fear, anything. First we learn in our house. I must not be afraid when mom and dad scolds me. Scolding is good. You must become strong in your house. I must not be afraid when mom and dad corrects me, scolds me, corrects me. So I must not be afraid when my parents, what do the parents do? Correct me. They're telling me, don't do this, don't do that, don't go here. So I must not be afraid when my parents correct me. They're telling me, I must not be afraid. Sometimes they have to say it very strongly. I told you, don't eat the chocolate, you will get cold. And if you get a cold, you won't go to school. Don't go to school, you don't do your homework. Don't do your homework, you fail. You'll repeat the class. So what did parents say? You are allergic to chocolate, you cannot eat. Or dad and mom, what they say? I don't want you to. Who asked you to play in the water? You play in the water. And mommy scolds you, daddy scolds you. When you play in the water, you get fever. So don't do what parents say. But when they correct you, tell, I'm not afraid. Mom and dad is telling me so that I become a strong person. They know what is good for me. I must not be afraid of sleeping or going into a dark room. When you say dark room, in the house, in the evening, the lights are off. We have not put the light on. You want to go from one room to the other. There is no light there. Light doesn't work. I must say to myself, I must not be afraid to go into the dark room. I must not be afraid when I go into a dark room. When the light comes on, there is nothing there. There is nothing in that room, but your fear, you are creating fear within you. Okay, now you are a big little boy or girl, mommy says, no, it will be nice, you sleep. So I must not be afraid to sleep in the room alone. I must not be afraid when I have to sleep. When I have to sleep alone. All the time, mommy cannot sleep with you. You must say to yourself. So I must not be afraid when my parents correct me. My parents says, don't eat this and don't eat that. Don't play in the water. When mommy says all that, I will listen because then the fear won't come. If I get fever, I am frightened of the dark. So when I go into a dark room, I must not be afraid. When I have to go into a dark room, I must not be afraid. When I have to sleep alone, I must not be afraid when I have to sleep alone. Mommy says, I'll go down to the market. So I have to be alone. There's nobody in the house. So I must say to myself, I must be afraid. I must not be afraid of being alone at home. Little while, mommy will go down the road and come back. So I must not be afraid to be alone in the house, to be alone at home. Mommy will come back soon. I must not be afraid to be alone at home. Nothing is going to happen. You have to keep yourself busy, reading, playing, looking at TV, something. That's all. But mommy will come soon. Fear. You should not create fear in you. When mommy says something, daddy says something, do it. Mommy says, don't go near the stove. You will go and you will burn your finger. What will happen? You will be frightened to go there. So, I must not be afraid. When parents are correcting me, I must not be afraid when I go into a dark room. You put the light on, there is nothing there. Don't create fear in you. I must not be afraid to sleep alone. You are big now. You keep the light on and sleep. Nothing will happen. I must not be afraid to be alone at home when mommy goes out. To be alone at home when mama goes out. When mama goes out. She goes out for what? She may be going out to see somebody, to bring something, to fetch something. You must say, I am brave. I am a little girl, I am a little boy, but I am brave. Now, I must not be afraid of pet animals. Some children are so frightened of pets you keep. So, I must say to myself, I must not be afraid of pet animals. I must not be afraid of pet animals. Suppose you have a dog, you put your hand into the dog's mouth, dog will bite. If you tease the dog, dog will bite. But if you play with them, just be there, look at them, don't trouble them, they won't trouble you. So I must not be afraid of pet animals. In the house, you have spiders and lizards and cockroaches and I don't know, silverfish, lots of tiny flies, mosquitoes, lots of insects are there. I must say to myself, I'm not afraid of the lizard. Lizard is up there. It won't harm me. The spider is up there. It won't harm me. The cockroach will run across. It will not harm me, but not make a big noise and create fear in you. So I must say to myself, I must not be afraid of the insects in the house. I must not be afraid of the insects. Insects in my house. Anything that is running about, crawling about, don't get afraid. Mommy will take care. Have confidence. What are we building in ourselves? I must not be afraid. I must not be afraid. You are telling yourself, I am brave. When you say you are not afraid, that means you are a brave child. That's what we are trying to see. Sometimes you do not know the person. You open the door, the bell rings, mommy says open the door, you open the door, and somebody not known to you come, a stranger. So you say to yourself, I must not be afraid of strangers at the door, at home. Mommy will handle. I must not be afraid of the strangers. The strangers at the door. They come to the door, maybe a salesman, maybe a postman, anybody who comes to the door. I must not be afraid because you are not alone. What are you doing to yourself in saying in all this? You are telling yourself, I am brave, I am smart. Okay? I must not be afraid. When my parents correct me, telling me, don't do this and that, I must not be afraid. I must be brave. I must learn to listen. Then there will be no fear. I must not be afraid to go into a dark room. You put the light, there is nothing there. I must not imagine in my mind, oh, somebody is there. So you must not be afraid. I must not be afraid to sleep alone. Now I am big. Mommy says I am big. Daddy says I am a big boy, big girl. So I must not be afraid when I have to sleep alone in my room. Then I must not be afraid to be alone at home when mommy goes out to bring things, fetch things. So I must say I am brave. I will read a book. I'll see a TV. I'll do my homework. I must not be afraid of pet animals. We have pet animals in the house or pet animals that the neighbors have. I should not be afraid of them. I must not be afraid of the insects in my house. Mommy will take care of the insects. The lizards and the spiders and the cockroaches. I should not worry myself. When I see, I should not scream and make a big noise. Then I must not be afraid of the strangers who come to the door. Postman will come, delivery man will come, milkman will come, many faces that you are not familiar. But you say to yourself, I am not afraid. In all this you are telling yourself, I am brave. I can face life. I can face the world. So I must not be afraid. I must not be afraid. Sometimes you don't like some food. Then you will tell mommy, no, you will get caught here, I don't like, all stories you will tell. You must tell yourself, mommy knows what is best for your health. I must not be afraid to eat whatever mommy gives me. Confidence in mother. It's good for your health. So, you must say, must not be afraid of what? Afraid of anything that you have to eat and drink. This is not, don't say it will hurt me here, I feel somewhat, I don't feel comfort. No. So I must not be afraid to eat. I must eat everything what mommy gives. I must not be afraid to eat whatever mommy gives. Whatever. Vegetables, fruits, milk, juice, whatever. So I must not be afraid to eat whatever mom gives. What does mom give you? All good things. Then I must not be afraid of the dreams that comes to me. Okay, sometimes you watch TV, sometimes you look at pictures, and when you are sleeping alone at night, you work out your mind and you see terrible dreams and you scream, Mama, you will scream. So you must say to yourself, you must make your mind strong. How will you make your mind strong? Say to yourself, I must not be afraid. I'm a brave girl, I'm a brave boy. I must not be afraid of the dreams I get, of the dreams that I get at night. Now, if you are a person who is going to get scared of insects and pets and people and everything and dark room and white room and all that, if you're going to have built a fear in your mind, in the night, that fear will come in your dream and frighten you some more. But if you tell in your mind, look, I am a brave girl, I am a brave boy, I am not going to be afraid of anyone, I am not going to be afraid of anything, I must not be afraid of the dreams that I get at night. I'll say, this is only a dream. Maybe the picture I saw, the TV I saw, or the book I read, or somebody said something, mommy gave me, grandma told me a story. So you will tell all the time in your mind, I must not be afraid of the dreams that come in my mind. Okay? So, then I must not be afraid of the scary pictures and movies that I watch. You watch on TV. So, you will tell, when you are watching itself, you will tell yourself, I must not be afraid of the pictures. You don't want to look at, but sometimes you look at scary pictures. So, I must not be afraid of the scary pictures and movies that I watch or that I watch. You can watch, but tell yourself, I am not afraid of this picture, then you will not get scary dreams. I must not be afraid. When I go to school for the first time, when I meet a new teacher for the first time, new friends for the first time. So, I must not be afraid the first time when I go to school. I must not be afraid of the first day at school, of the first day, at school. I must not be afraid of a new teacher, new friends at school. That's very important. I must not be afraid of the new friends, new faces, new friends, and new teachers, and new teachers. You're meeting them for the first time. Why should you be afraid? Tell yourself, look, I am a big boy, I'm a little big girl, I'm not going to be afraid. I must not be afraid of the new friends, new teachers that I meet in the new school, new campus. You should not frighten yourself. Then, I must not be afraid of any task, any work that given to me at school. You must say, I can do. If all the children can do, I can do. Why am I afraid? You tell yourself, I am confident, I can. I must not be afraid of doing, I must not be afraid of doing any task given to me at school. Okay? given to me by my teacher, any task given at school, I'll work it out. All the children can do, given any task given at school, doing any task given at school. It can be writing or preparing something, drawing something. Why? All are doing it. I will do. I am a very smart girl, smart boy. I am not afraid. I am not afraid. I must not be afraid because I can. I must not be afraid of doing any work, any task. What is the work school gives you? Do some drawing, some coloring, make some project, do some writing, work out some, do a project. I can. I will. I must not be afraid of doing any task at home. If all the children can do, I can also do it. I must not be afraid of playing rough games. You play, but then you should not get fear in you. I must not be afraid of playing rough games in the games field. Playing rough games or difficult games, of playing rough games in the field. You must not be afraid. I can play. I'll fall, I'll hurt myself, but I am brave. So I will not cry. I must not be afraid of going out shopping alone. Mommy will say, buy me this, buy me that, just down the road, not far away. So you will tell mommy, yes mommy, I must not be afraid of shopping alone, going out shopping alone. I must not be afraid of going shopping alone. Shopping alone. Then, I must not be afraid when I am sick. I have to meet doctor. I must not be afraid of meeting any doctor. Doctor gives you injection. Doctor gives you medicine to make you all right. So I must not be afraid of meeting any doctor when I am not well. Any doctor when I am ill. Okay, I am not well. I will meet doctor, will put me right. Then I must not be afraid of telling the truth. You did something or you said something, you broke something. You must say to yourself, I am brave. I must not be afraid of telling the truth. I must not be afraid of people who laugh at me. Sometimes your friends will laugh at you. Then you must say, not at all. Why should they laugh? I know I am confident. I must not be afraid of people who laugh at me. They'll call me names, they'll bully me. I'll say no. I must not be afraid of them. I must not be afraid of friends who are bigger than me, stronger than me. But your mind is stronger. So you say to yourself, I must not be afraid of that big, huge friend. I must not be afraid of this strange man. I must not be afraid of this dog on the road. I must not be afraid of anything that induces fear in me. Now let's look at it. I must not be afraid. I must not be afraid to eat whatever mommy gives me. I must not be afraid of the dream that I get at night. I must not be afraid of the pictures and movies that I see on the TV. I tell in my mind, no, I am not. I am not afraid of the first day at school. I am brave. I am not afraid of the new friends and the new teachers that I meet at school. Then I must say to myself, I must not be afraid of doing any task given at school. Any task I will do, writing, drawing, speaking. I must not be afraid of playing rough games in the field. I may fall down, I may hurt myself, but I'll be all right. I must not be afraid of shopping alone. Mommy will say, buy me one thing, go down here. I must be able to do that. I must not be afraid of meeting any doctor when I am ill. Then what did I say? I must not be afraid to tell the truth. I must not be afraid. I must not be afraid to tell the truth. Whatever happened, to tell the truth. That's very, very important. I must tell the truth, whatever happened. I must not be afraid of those who laugh at me. I must not be afraid of people who laugh at me. People are friends who laugh at me. They'll laugh at you, they poke fun at you. You say, no, I'm not afraid. So what are you trying to do here? You're telling yourself, look, I am strong. I am not frightened. I'm a brave child. I must not be afraid to tell the truth anytime to anybody, whether at home or in school or my friend. I will only tell the truth. I won't tell lies. I must not be afraid of people who laugh at me, who call me names. I must not be afraid. I must not be afraid of people, big friends who are bigger than me, friends who are bigger than me. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of when I go for a walk, I meet a dog. I'm not afraid. I will tell I'm brave. I'm not afraid to eat whatever mommy gives me. I have confidence in mother. I am not afraid of the dream that comes in the night. I'll tell in my mind, that's only a dream. I should not scare myself. I won't scream. I must not be afraid of the pictures and the movies that I watch on TV. I should not be afraid of. Then I must not be afraid of the first day at school. I must not be afraid of the new friends I meet, the new teachers I meet, the strange people I meet at the door. I am not going to be afraid. I must not be afraid of doing any work given to be my teacher, by my teacher. Then I must not be afraid of playing rough games and fall down. I get hurt. I will say, I am brave. I must not be afraid of doing shopping, small shopping for mother outside. I must not be afraid of meeting doctor, any doctor. Sometimes dentist, you're so scared. Sometimes you are frightened of injection. So any doctor, you should be you should say, I'm not afraid of meeting doctor. Doctor is going to put me right. So being brave is what you are cultivating now. I must not be afraid, but I'm going to be brave.